Honor and respect. Greetings and salutations. Welcome. Come on in. Hmm. Well, I have a little bit of a sound delay. I hope I'll fix that as the night goes on. You as well, my beloved Queen Mother. I think I fixed the delay. Greetings, everyone. Come on in. Come on in. Welcome, Beverly X. Greetings and salutations. Maceo, thank you so much for being consistent and present with us in this shared sacred space. We're going to give it a few more moments as we allow people to come on in. In the interim, I'm going to share our newest New Orleans National Voodoo Day promotion. Certainly, we invite you to support, join us, participate in the coming second annual New Orleans National Voodoo Day, April 5th and April 6th of this year. I had them up and ready to go, and now I can't find my commercial. Come on in, greetings and salutations, everyone. Welcome, welcome to another edition of Revolutionary Voodoo, New Orleans Voodoo Secrets and Recipes. All is truly and indeed a blessing. You can certainly get a better look at the promos in my social media feeds in various locations, as well as on the community page on my on my YouTube profile. And again, that's in support and promotion of New Orleans National Voodoo Day. This year it will be April 5th, our symposium, and then April 6th, our
You froze again.
Nigeria, Ghana, but certainly Benin. The president of Benin may possibly be with us, as well as the highest ranking voodoo practitioner in the region will also be here to co-lead and participate in our second annual New Orleans National Voodoo Day. All is truly and indeed a blessing. It is
You froze. Everybody, we're experiencing technical difficulties at this time. He should be back up shortly. I want to wish everyone peace and blessings and invite you to come in if you have your mic and webcam to join the show. Divine Prince, you've been gone for a minute. I think it's really a technical difficulty.
Okay, I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yes, and see you.
Okay, excellent. I hope you were holding it down while I was gone and y'all weren't
I
gonna
was
say it.
trying. I was trying to. I just was about to tell them about your commercial again and where to go find it on your webpage.
You're talking about for the upcoming documentary, A Curse Man.
No, the Voodoo Day.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey,
Thank you.
Maceo.
Yeah, it can certainly be found. Mayfield, you joined by popping that StreamYard link that's scrolling at the bottom of the screen into
I'm here.
into into your browser, and that's how you can join us here on screen. If you're asking about joining us for National New Orleans Voodoo Day, then certainly visit our website, voodooday.org, VODOUDAY.org, and shoot us a contact form through the website, which goes directly to email, and we'll be more than happy to give you more information further, help you to coordinate perhaps your travel, lodging when you're here, etc. But we certainly appreciate you joining us, both here in this sacred virtual space and also here in the city of New Orleans come April 5th and 6th. We had a fabulous year and outcome last year. So, and this year is already promising to be much bigger than what we managed to accomplish on last year. So I'm certainly looking forward to that. In my daily perusing of social media, I came across, as I always do, something interesting right now in this season, specific to Voodoo. And you might remember me mentioning in the first Orange Clown administration, uh, particularly when the pandemic kicked in, there was a run on popularity for voodoo dolls in China, so much so that China made them illegal, and people kept seeking other ways, typically through the internet, to acquire them. So in today, um, I don't know exactly what I was searching, but I'm sure voodoo doll was not what I put into the search engine. And lo and behold, I got a whole page of Trump voodoo dolls. Now we had, an occurrence of one or two Trump voodoo dolls in the past, but I mean a whole page and a half of Trump voodoo dolls, SD, Amazon, um, some smaller sites.
Yes, you froze again, Prince. But I saw a lot of ads for Trump voodoo dolls also.
Yes, indeed. And we could have a whole conversation about voodoo dolls. The authenticity and the legitimacy and what they really are and what they are not. They're certainly not voodoo, though pop culture has amalgamated, you know, typically the cloth voodoo doll with the pins being stuck in it. You know, they have associated that with voodoo, and particularly voodoo with four O's. But it's really something of a leftover from Eurocentric puppets and Eurocentric magic, and certainly anything that you give your intention and your energy to, and you feed.
Pretty
Target.
much.
Say that again.
No, I was just saying you was froze again. It looked like it's really acting up tonight for some reason.
And listen, I've been on here. Maceo can tell you at least 40 minutes before we went live. I had no problems with the internet, none. And the
Nothing but
minute
the
we go,
devil.
yeah, and the minute we go live, the shenanigans began. Thank you all so much for being here and being consistent and present with us in this space, and enduring the AT&T hotspot Wi-Fi and its infrequent inconsistencies. I also want to share the trailer for a coming TV production that will also be available, I believe, online in March, that we shot sometime last year. And give me a second, I'm going to pop that on the screen and present that for you. Let's see if we can share that trailer. And it's called A Cursed Man. It is also in all of my social media feeds: Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, um, Blogger, Tumblr. It's certainly there, but I'm going to share it here tonight. Give me about 2 seconds here. And just from the trailer, so far, this is one of my favorite things I've done.
At the beginning of this, maybe I was more skeptical. As the days have gone on, I'm not sure what I think anymore.
I felt that maybe it wouldn't affect me if I personally didn't believe in that.
It froze.
A curse could end your life. You're literally begging the devil to knock on your door just to prove to you that God is real.
He could curse you with stupidity. We think you got that down.
Despite the warnings, I'm investigating the real-world effects of dark magic.
Looks like you have a lot of love and a lot of opportunity. You are going to cause damage to that.
How do you feel after doing this?
Evil.
That must be quite seductive.
That's what you're calling the devil, right? Quite seductive.
I'm going to enter into a pact with Satan.
Señor Satán, Lucifer, presentamos a este hermano. Con tu fuego purifica.
Leon is pretty aware of all black magic. People are very scared to even talk about it.
Y'all better not call me at 2 o'clock in the morning talking about this man is dead. I don't want to hear that.
I have this physical feeling that something bad is coming. What have I done?
You're going to have to find faith in this in order to undo it.
And thank you. That is coming in March by filmmaker and documentarian Liam Goulet, I pray I'm pronouncing his name correctly. That was quite the project, Sister Tony.
Yes, it had to be. When I saw the trailer, I had to go back and say, what? He said he want to be cursed? He want a curse put on him. Who does that? I said, I
His
can't
whole
wait to see
motivation,
this.
yeah, his whole motivation was to, on the one hand, sort of disprove that there was any truth or reality to dark magic or ritual magic to begin with. And then secondly, he wanted this curse put on himself to sort of prove the validity or disprove the validity of ritual magic, and certainly the ritual practitioners who were actually willing to go forward with such a request. I certainly was not going to put my integrity and the integrity of Voodoo worldwide on the line by participating in such a thing. And certainly there are rules to this. There are protocols to this.
Yes,
So trying to, curse someone or be with someone who's done nothing to you or done no real evil or harm that you're aware of that warrants any sort of, divine retribution, it really draws into question the practitioners who were willing to go forward with that. So certainly you saw a little bit of me in the trailer. I wasn't having it. At some point, I, walked out of the film and got up out of my throne chair and left the room. I just wasn't willing to be a part of it and sully my own energy, my own reputation, and my own need to call on stronger forces, stronger powers when I indeed need to. And Sonya, I've had to in the past. There has been I have needed to, and
yeah,
that's
for
something that
self-protection.
well, yeah, self protection, defense
Yes,
of the right
but I like when you
divine
ask
retribution.
them the right question. So you want a curse put on you so you can prove that God is real.
Yeah,
Make it make
you,
sense.
you're asking for the devil to show up at your door just to prove God is real. Because at the end of the day, I don't know if they're going to air everything that I said, but at the end of the day, let's say you do figure out that there's something to this magic, and according to the trailer, at some point he did. We received no follow-ups. I've had no real contact with him since filming, except for the occasional updated email about release dates and things of that sort. So I don't know what really happened to him, but he did suggest in that trailer that something took place,
That
and then he went
someone
on.
actually took him up and put a
Yes,
curse on him.
quite possibly more than one, because I saw more than one ritual process going on in that brief trailer.
Yes.
And then he went on to see another spiritualist who told him that, he had good fortune and good luck and things were going well for him, and that he was taking a risk by doing this, that he really
Yes.
shouldn't move forward with this. So apparently he did, at least the trailer suggests that he did, and we'll just have to wait until March.
Yeah,
And the
when it
release
comes
of the
out, I will
actual
definitely be looking for that.
documentary slash. Yeah, but it was by far one of the most interesting things, intriguing offers I've ever received in terms of bringing voodoo, whether it be entertainment voodoo or authentic demonstration voodoo. Because we didn't even do anything that extreme in American Horror Story. I mean, at
Mm,
worst, yeah, at worst we, sacrificed the lamb, mimicked sacrificing a lamb at the worst in our scene. but nothing like this. Nothing like this. I was shook, as you may have tell, from that brief experience with him.
When you say y'all not gonna call me at 2:30 in the morning, I was like, that's right, that's right. No.
Well, I made the mistake. I got in my feelings, and for a moment, my mind went back to Big Frida, and
Yes.
10 months later, having the production assisted from Big Frida Bounces Back, Big Frida the Queen Diva season 6, Big Frida Bounces Back. Um, After doing, I think I did maybe 5 episodes out of 8 of that season, and then 10 months later of not hearing anything from them, and then getting a phone call at 2:30 in the morning to tell me that my prediction had come true. It was jarring, even for someone
Yes,
who's
I
been
remember.
doing this for many years, a few decades. It's still really jarring when you separate your flesh and your ego and allow spirit to come in and utilize you as a vessel. And then you see or hear or pronounce things that sometimes, make no sense at all in the moment. I was never to read anyone in Big Frida's family that day. For those of you who actually saw the airing, saw the show, that was a point of contention between Big Frida and the sister as he was coming into the former apartment building that I lived in at that time. She didn't want him to do it. She said, certainly do not mention me or my kids. And for me, that should have extended, generally speaking, to the family. They're a close knit family. They're a close knit group. They are. So Big Frida was the plan was not to ask me about his family. We had a set of topics, not necessarily questions, but topics that were on the table to be discussed, to be filmed. We had filmed that. It was what we call in the can, and now we're ready to pack up. And so sometimes production will ask for what they call B-roll. It might be a scan of your house or a scan of the room or the event that's being filmed, or a close-up of your hands. In this case, me, casting the shells on the divination board and going through sort of the motions of divination. And it was in that moment, after having filmed, for 6 hours in the heat, that they asked me to address people, places, and things. I want to say exactly what they asked me. Uh, but I was asked to read and address people, places, and things that were not originally part of the program. And we went through a short list of individuals, and the brother came up on the list. And before I knew it, I threw my head back and my eyes kind of rolled back in my head. I kind of went into a trance-like state, not a possession, but a trance-like state. And I said, okay, it's too much. It's too much of something, like an addiction, too much drinking, gambling, the wrong people, the wrong crowd. It's too much of something. And if you don't get a hold of him, if you don't get a grip on this, he will be dead in a year. And for me, that was it. I called a wrap. Usually the crew calls a wrap. I called a wrap at that point. I wasn't prepared to answer any more questions. We had already gotten in the can what we had set out to film. And then I didn't want to address any more, private matters about people who weren't, in the room. And so 10 months later, 2:30 in the morning, and by the time the morning news come on, because I believe it was a Saturday night. So by the time the Sunday morning news came about, there it was. He had been murdered in a neighborhood that many of us are familiar with. And yeah, it was a tragic, tragic thing. And so for anyone who claims to be a reader, a psychic, a tarot reader, a Ephod diviner, Dapha diviner. You know, it gets real. It gets real. This is more than, you know, the teenagers seeking to get their lover back. In fact, I get very few calls from, you know, people under 18, people under 19. They're generally speaking very mature, to a great degree, diversely educated in spirituality, religion, traditions, culture, ethnicity. So people tend to come for really serious things, and professionals, doctors, lawyers, politicians. I mean, you know, I don't take death lightly ever, and I'm not a stellar of death, despite sort of our honor of the ancestors in the realm of the death. I don't use death or fear as a tactic in my ministry. So I don't seek out to give people the worst news possible, the darkest predictions, you know, that they can imagine. But for some of you, you know, you won't hear good advice. My mama used to say, a word to the wise is sufficient. And we live in a day and time now where information, not wisdom, information is easily accessible by way of you know, Google it, the internet, word of mouth, what have you, information. And information is not always accurate or correct or applicable to you personally for your particular case scenario. And so, you know, it's a struggle sometimes to get people to accept advice, mentorship, wisdom. And sometimes it comes through, you know, in warnings and predictions. Um, so I don't take it lightly when things of that sort, health, wellness, death, birth, you know, danger. I don't play around when that is presented to me in the context of divination. And so after that, you know, I sent my condolences and well wishes, you know, to Frida and the family, but didn't really, you know, through text, but didn't really seek a, you know, a phone call or a real explanation. You allow people to grieve. You allow people to you know, rebuild their peace while they go through, you know, bereavement. And so another 10 months passed. I don't know what's with Obasalan, it's number 10. And another 10 months passed, and someone who I'm friendly with in social spaces and is kind of popular for posting at this time in Twitter, all things hoodoo, psychic, tarot, astrology, you know, all things of that sort, and posted a video clip from Charlemagne the God and the Breakfast Club. And to my knowledge, this was the first time that Big Frida talked about the divination out loud or in public, you know, or before a camera and a mic that I was aware of. And said, yeah, you know, I went to see you know, the voodoo priest, the psychic, the voodoo priest, kind of stumbled over the words, but everybody knew who Frida was talking about. That's how this guy knew to tag me in this post. Everybody knew who Frida was talking about if they saw the show. And said, yeah, he predicted the death of my brother. It got real. My brother got killed. And Charlemagne asked, you know, would you do this again? Would you, you know, go and visit? And you know, he kind of gave a coy response, you know, maybe in the future, but not right now. And in my own opinion, they're shook, as any individual would be, any family would be, especially if you go in sort of with that air of joke and laughter and fear at the same time. Because again, the sister had real apprehension about this taking place at all. And so to come back with that sort of information. And you see on the show, Frida comes out of the building. They both, you know, immediately break out into tears, but they don't explain in the moment why or what I had said, you know, or what I had suggested. So yeah, this newest project, I'm looking forward to seeing it. for the first time along with you, and seeing what really comes out in a cursed man. Thank you so much, beloved King Solomon. Thank you kindly, honor and respect. Yes, Maceo, let's talk about Cloak and Dagger. I did read your text the other night, your chat, and I didn't respond in the moment because, on the one hand, I was, humbled that anyone actually saw it. I was grateful that anybody even knew what Cloak and Dagger was. I actually, as a actor and a cultural performer, received my SAG union card after doing Cloak and Dagger. I did on the show. I actually played more. I actually did more than one thing on the show. I had a SAG union role as a Mardi Gras Indian, but we weren't actually masking. We just beat the tambourine, sing, and chant Mardi Gras Indian songs while a community or a neighborhood barbecue was going on. And the reasoning for this is, for those of you who are unfamiliar with Cloak and Dagger, please look it up. It's still out there in archives somewhere to be viewed. So I don't want to give too much away. But the power of this superhero, Cloak and Dagger, was about superheroes, one black, one white. Uh, the black young man is Cloak. The young white girl is Dagger. Dagger has the magical supernatural power of being able to produce daggers of all sorts from her hands and project them at people. And then Cloak, his special gift, special skill was his ability to cloak himself with his coat or his cape, or really any piece of fabric or covering, and then he could translocate from one place to another, disappear and then translocate by way of cloaking. So the magic in his cloak was received from the Mardi Gras Indians, and you have to watch the show to get that. In the process of beating and creating and sequencing and constructing black masking Mardi Gras Indian suits every year, we often spend a year or more hand sewing, hand beating, hand sequencing. And so the theme of the show was that this magic, if you will, had been sewed into this cloak, and this is what gave him this ability. Now, I also show up in Cloak and Dagger um, as a tourist, but also in representation of local culture. So I'm in what looks like a walking tour. In one scene, we're in a cemetery, and we're at the perceived tomb of Marie Laveau, and the tour guide, who's one of the main characters in this TV show, is talking to him about how we used to mark the tomb, because you can't do that anymore. That's illegal now. You will be arrested and taken to jail if you try to do that now. And you cannot go into the cemetery now without an organized tour. And there are cameras everywhere, and you're being observed. But in the show, they're doing a tradition, a practice that went on for decades, where locals and authentic practitioners, as well as tourists and wannabes, would come through and use red brick or markers or other items to scratch crosses into Marie Laveau's tomb to mark their prayers, their requests, or their receiving some assistance from Marie Laveau. And so she, instructs him on how to do this in the scene, and I'm certainly right in the front, right in the camera. What I think is an excessive amount of time compared to people who.
You froze again, but yeah, that excessive amount of time, because you just looked that part so well, is natural.
Wi-Fi worked out, hook crook. I believe that they were attempting to draw that connection between myself and black culture, black masking culture, black voodoo culture in New Orleans. Because then I'm featured again in another scene in the walking tour, and we're in Congo Square. And many people associate me with Congo Square. Once upon a time, I was at the sacred ancestral tree in Congo Square every Sunday, performing ceremony and ritual and prayer and application for our ancestors. I'm not there as regularly as I used to be. Really, from that season of Cloak and Dagger onward, um, my schedule has just been overwhelming. The ministry has just been overwhelming. So I appreciate the fact, Maxio, that you even saw it and then recognized and remembered me from that production. Um, People often identify me from American Horror Story, but I don't find as many people, um, at least from a particular demographic, that are familiar with Cloak and Dagger. I think it's a younger demographic. It's basically a superhero series created for a younger demographic, a more modern, up-to-date demographic. So I think it just depends on who I'm talking to and where they're from and what their experience has been in terms of their exposure to that show. I've done so many productions, I forgot some of them. I have to be reminded sometimes, or go back and look at my IMDb and be reminded of some of these really powerful and edifying and educational pieces I've done, but also some of the more uh, entertainment based, crazier pieces I've done. A good example of that is Terrence Howard's Fright Club. Many of you know Terrence.
Yes, yes.
Yes, and so he directs and produces and executive produces other pieces. You might not see him in front of the camera as much because he's now working behind the camera. And he had this great idea for a show called Fright Club. And it only lasted, I want to say, one season, uh, a few episodes perhaps, but one season. Um, and what I heard through the grapevine is he just wasn't happy with the production for whatever reason. I don't know how true or not that is, but it was akin to what's the show, Tony Bell, where they used to spoof people, scare
Oh
people,
yeah, I know what you're talking about. Scare tactic.
scare tactics. It had a very strong correlation to scare tactics, but again, a little bit more modern and longer skit episode. And you can find that on my YouTube page among my video. And basically, they brought in a tour band of tourists, which is a everyday thing in New Orleans in the French Quarter. And they're out eating, and some young girl walks up and gives away a free ticket to this secret event that's taking place in the French Quarter. And it's written on, I believe, a tarot card with a crayon or something. But the girl accepts it, and the whole group of tourists, are now on board to come and witness this, special secret event. And the tour guides that are leading them all are part of our team, but they didn't know that. So once they got them to that building, baby, you're gonna have to go to my social media or to my YouTube page and watch the video to see what the outcome of that scenario was. So I've done some crazy things. I've been in some odd and unusual productions. I've been a gay prostitute. I've been an alien. I've been a prisoner. Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger's escape plan, the floating prison, out at sea. I was in that production. But this coming production, A Cursed Man, I'm really looking forward to it. I know Sister Tony is really excited about it. I know that I am excited about it. And
I'm
yeah,
very excited. I want to see the outcome and get to the end of it where they tell what actually happened to him in his endeavor to have a curse put on him. That just totally blew my mind. Of course, we all aware everybody wants a curse put on someone else. That's all they say. Can you put a curse on? No. But he
or they,
wants it on himself?
or
No.
they, or they believe they've been accursed by someone else,
By someone else.
or
Yes.
yeah, or through a generational curse. But I have to strain my memory. I don't remember anyone ever requesting that curse be put on them or seeking to sort of prove or disprove magic by doing so. I've had the unfortunate occasion of, people who've been suicidal or in a dark place. And so you might say anything, on that occasion. I've received some hate mail over the years that I believe was motivated by people thinking that they could, get me into my ego and my flesh, that I would, just exact some kind of, retribution on them, you know, for little or no reason. The kind of shenanigans you see in the movies and you often see discussed and tossed around in social media. But no, something is strong enough to create invincibility in a formerly enslaved population to where now they fear no whip, no bullet, no gun, no dagger, and they're willing to rise up against, the white man and free themselves from, enslavement. What more evidence of power in association with Aboriginal and indigenous practices do you need? And many of us, especially in our community, do all kind of little tricks and mojos and juju and Greek and have little habits that we do to protect our luck or protect our children or protect our houses or to get advancement, in the workplace or to get,
I know I do.
advancement in their love life. And many of you say it ain't voodoo. Some of you won't even, call it what it is. Hoodoo, witchcraft, conjure, root work. Once you give it a name, then we have a problem. Because once we give something a name, then there's protocols attached to it, rules, an archive of experience. People like to keep it loose, hidden, and certainly there's still codependency on the mainstream structure, the status quo, still plays a large role in some people's willingness to hide, mask, their connection to these practices. But certainly, it's not to be played with. Um, it's not a joke. I believe that there are divine, universal laws in place for us here that prevent us from taking on certain abuses of power and magic. People will sometimes say, oh, well, there aren't any miracles anymore like they were in the Bible, and so they will attribute that same mindset to, a disbelief in magic, in witchcraft, in faith healing, in the power of the spoken word, in the power of belief. And scientists, psychologists, psychiatrists, counselors, therapists has demonstrated the power of just the placebo effect of belief, what you believe, what you understand, and then investing your own natural divine energy. In the Yoruba culture language, they say Iyami, the sacred and mysterious power of women. And so too men can possess Oso, Oso, which is the Iyami that men carry, as it is passed down through our mothers and our great mothers. So it's a reason here in Western culture we attribute spiritual things, emotional things, witchy things are always to the mother, to the women. We call them wives' tales. We say it's mother wit. You know, we
Yes,
use
mother wit.
yeah of that sort, which are really veiled ways of addressing this sacred, mysterious, sometimes magical power in the hands of our mothers and our sisters and our women, our cousins and our
But
nieces.
you think it all looked like everything went through the mother because the men didn't talk about it as much? Because
No,
during the time frame, it wasn't, culturally right. I don't know the word I'm looking for, acceptable for women and men that weren't family or weren't husband and wife to associate each other. So where did the men go to cast day spells, to get their gree bags and all of this? Do you think they still snuck and went to the women?
absolutely. And I also want to point out something that's sort of embedded in what you were suggesting. Um, that's really Aboriginal. Even up to till today, when you look at Ghana, Nigeria, Cameroon, etc., from the Aboriginal perspective, there are initiations, there are coming of age ceremonies for boys, and there are coming of age ceremonies for girls. And they're often peer group specific. Other boys and girls of your age group are born in your season, if you will. And so there's always been a delineation of sort of right hand magic and left hand magic, or masculine genetic DNA coded spirit that is passed down through our great fathers, and then that which is passed down through our great mothers. So when you bring that now into the so-called New World here in America, um, I think that can.
You froze again.
When I'm trying to share the wisdom.
Yeah.
Okay, see, I'm back. Okay, so even in the church, we probably can all remember those of us of a certain age. There was a particular place that men sat in the church. There was a particular place that women sat in the church. There was a particular location for children to sit in the church. And certainly, if you carried a position like a missionary, a deacon, an usher, you were often segregated. We all were in the same room, but segregated by the space availability, even within the confines of those sacred spaces. And then there's the organizational component that go along with that.
Every time you're trying to drop the knowledge, there go AT&T.
Yes, I'm here. So there's always been sort of this space created to teach specific things and specific arenas of knowledge, and then pass that down, certainly by word of mouth, through practice, and application and demonstration. And then, at some point, even by way of books. You have Masons, Shriners, and then you have Eastern Stars. You go into the Islamic and the Muslim space. You go into the FOI and uh, Mosque Mariam in Chicago with Farrakhan. The men sit on one side, the women sit on the other. FOI has their reasoning sessions, and then the MGTs have their reasoning sessions. So I think when we go back to antebellum South, I think men's spaces were perhaps the barbershop
Yes.
or um, the blacksmith, which became associated with certain deities like Ogun and I.
Yes. And a barbershop, that was the center of, you know, the male
Certainly, the
community.
barbershop is the space, the domain of Obatala or Re. It's where men go to uh, and discuss things, you know, in an exclusive space. Our undertakers, you know, we got a saying here in New Orleans. You know the saying, may God bless you.
Well, I'm from the lower nine, and our funeral home down there was Glapion Funeral Home. If y'all know, Marie Laveau was married to a man named Glapion. He was also in a family of barbers, were Glapions. They had a lot of barbers in their family. But we would say, God gonna bless you and Glap gonna dress you.
Yes, indeed. So who's to know, who's to say that in those mortuary arts that there is not the sharing of secret knowledge and wisdom? I've always assumed that there has to be in some of those spaces because they are dealing with death and in some cases the supernatural, hauntings, and you know the transference of spirit. Older folks used to talk about witnessing the silver cord coming out of people's head, going up into the sky, which could really be a cultural. I want to pick the right word. A cultural manifestation of Ori, or the chain to heaven in some Western African ethnic stories of spirit and myth. So, yeah, there certainly was a space for and created for men to practice and to operate, but it just looked differently from what the women might do in the kitchen or in the beauty salon, you know, or even in those designated spaces within the church and the community.
And
Absolutely.
maybe that's how barbershops got so popular, huh?
Perhaps
Because they would
barbershop,
all meet up in there.
barbershops as well as beauty salons became a central community center, economic hub. You know, a time when there was no welfare, you went to your community for help and or assistance. Yeah, it makes sense to me. It aligns, you know, for me. We have about what 7 minutes left in the show. I certainly appreciate everyone. Thank you so much, Maceo, for your contributions and your consistent conversation in the chat. We're certainly grateful for others who come and join us live in the chat. Tariq Lopez, certainly my beloved godchild and friend King Solomon, Esperee. We certainly appreciate your consistency over the years. Uh, did I miss anyone? And I certainly invite you, you know, with your questions, comments, requests, support, offers, and donations to visit my website at www.houseofthedivineprince.com. And there is a contact form there that terminates directly into the email application. So you can communicate with me there, or you can send me a direct email by way of Divine Prince at houseofthedivineprince.com. And please allow me to assist you in organizing your travel and your temporary residency while you're here in the city of New Orleans. Not only for Mardi Gras and Carnival, which is still to come, Fat Tuesday, Mardi Gras Day is March 4th. And then we have a few weeks of temporary rest. And then for April 5th and April 6th will be our second annual National New Orleans Voodoo Day. So we certainly appreciate your consistent love and support. And we invite you to get involved, become a part of our community virtually or literally. We certainly do conduct initiations here in the city for all forms of voodoo. Louisiana, New Orleans voodoo, Haitian voodoo, West African voodoo. There's a diverse group of Pan-African practitioners and spiritualists and culture that's being practiced here in the city, and certainly initiated traditions are commonplace here in the city. You often won't find them in the French Quarter or in the touristy locations.
You
really
definitely won't find in the French Quarter.
You have to reach out to the community itself. Even when you find us in the French Quarter, we're often working, whether that's performing or community engagement. We're often working when you see us in those touristy spaces. I do the occasional tour, though, beloved Denise Augustine and oursacredstories.com. She spearheads our tours, but I will do tours for her. I've done a few tours for Treme Luxury Experience.com, and I've done some private walks through certain communities and areas to share our daily lives and our daily experience as practitioners here in the city. So I invite you all to reach out with your questions, comments, or requests, not only in this space by way of chat or video or microphone, but certainly by way of email and to some degree social media. I will not accept uh, serious requests in social media. That's my way of separating myself from all the charlatans and perpetrators that will duplicate profiles and send you, to Cash App or divergent locations to swindle you out of your money. So, there's probably 30 fake profiles of me out there online right now. So be careful about what you're looking at in social media and make sure it's really me. It's really my authentic page and footprint. And there's just certain things I will not ever say or will ever ask you for in a chat or in a direct message, which is often a dead giveaway that it's a fake profile and that it's not me. I don't initiate conversations in DM with people that I don't know or have a personal relationship with. I direct everything and everybody to my website. Everything and everybody. I won't schedule an appointment in a text or a DM or instant message. I direct everything and everybody to my email. It's only the professional thing to do. And it's, again, better in terms of professional business for me keeping order to who's who and what's what and what services are being requested. So I would never show up in a DM and say the ancestors got a message for you. Send me some money to Cash App and let me do A, B, and C. That would never be me or anyone on our team. Nor does our greater group, NVD. None of us do that. Nor does La Source, HN, Humfor, and Sally and Glassman, and that uh, uh, segment of our community. No one does that. So it's a clear sign, clear giveaway that it's a fraudster showing up in your social media. If you get anything like that with my misspelled name or my pictures attached to it, it's certainly not me. I appreciate you all. It's been a great hour. Thank you so much, Sister Tony Val, for joining us again and being with us and taking an
All is
hour
a
out.
blessing.
Yes, indeed. And I look forward to sitting here again with you all tomorrow night at 9 p.m. U.S. Central Standard Time on a social media platform near you. Certainly my Facebook page, my Facebook profile, my Facebook groups, my LinkedIn, YouTube, X, my EarthCam page, my website, and anywhere you choose to pop the link in and spread the word. Please like, share, follow, and subscribe. And remember to visit our website at www.voodooday.org. VODOUDAY. And the most important letter is the U, the YOU. For without you, we would not be, this would not be, and this event, historic and powerful event, would not be happening. Thank you kindly to the mayor of the New Orleans, Mayor Cantrell, the City Council, and the state of Louisiana for sponsorship and support of our event. Thank you kindly to Sally and Asé for assisting us and if nothing else, getting out of the way and allowing us to continue to grow this powerful demonstration. So until next time, I wish you all peace and love, joy and happiness, honor and respect. Asé, Asé O, and Aye Bobo. Be blessed, Tariq Lopez.
Be blessed, Tariq.
Thank you, Maxio. Thank you all. Thank you, Sister Val. Always a blessing.
Peace.